Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. I'm very glad you're here with me today. Thank you very, very much. So there's a lot going on. It is March 4th today. And I was trying to decide what I wanted to sort of focus in on today. And this is my conclusion. There is so much going on right now. I mean, you've got Super Tuesday, those results. You've got the coronavirus and the not brilliant response to it by the federal government. You have the stock market bouncing up and down. And I know that the Reserve slashed interest rates, but the stock market is still bouncing a bit. So I decided that it was just time to ask the universe what it is that the people of the United States, and by extension, people globally, what it is that they need to know or remember to help keep things at least somewhat stable in really what appears to be a bit of a rocky climate we're in. So that's kind of going to be my question. And while I'm shuffling, I just do want to say thank you ever so much for the subscriptions and the likes, the thumbs up, the comments. It's all really helpful in keeping my videos circulating, and so I really appreciate that. Not to mention the comments are usually very clever and very witty, and I appreciate and enjoy that too. So there we have it. Let's find out what the universe wants us to know. Come on down. Okay, so universe tell us USA, universe tell us USA, universe tell us USA. Okay, so that's at the bottom of the deck. So they're talking about the fact that there's a lot of hard work ahead of us, ahead of you, as a country, as a peoples, because there's going to be a lot that frankly really does need to get fixed. And it sort of feels very much like, many hands make the job easier, that kind of an energy. So it talks very much about people having to kind of come together and work together to create, what you want to see going forward. So Spirit says, right now, there are a lot of decisions that are being made, and a lot of those decisions are being made with a view to resetting, if you will, the United States, to taking it to a place where it is not what it was before, and it is not what it has recently become, as much as sort of a real significant blending of the two forces. And those decisions, frankly, are going to be made by the people. And there's a lot of emotion connected to those decisions, because for as much as there is, worry and scared, there is also incredible passion. There is also a feeling of, this is mine. This is my country. I know what I'm looking for, and I am going to move forward with that really positive vision. And that's exactly what they're suggesting. They're saying, you know what? It's going to take a lot of communications, and it's going to happen, really rapidly when you look at things from a higher perspective. And they want you to understand that, you know what? The presidency of Trump really was an opportunity for a karmic reset. It's also an opportunity for people to have learned some valuable lessons. And for him, it was an opportunity for him also to shoulder some of his karmic responsibility and find a new or another way. Opportunities are not the same things as goal accomplished. There are secrets of the universe, and there are secrets within what is going on in terms of the government. There are secrets in terms of information being released in such a way so that the truth becomes obscured and there is sort of less clarity, and every day feels harder and harder, like there's more and more negative or lower vibration energy that that you're pushing back against, or that you feel burdened and you're carrying. But the universe is being pretty darn clear about the fact that you're going to survive this, and the things that get torn down needed to be torn down, and they're going to be replaced with stronger, more flexible pillars that you can work with and start moving forward on. And I think the other thing that, the other message that they really, really want to share with you is that you need to keep in perspective the fact that whichever Democrat wins the nomination for president, it all is going to work down and boil down to compromise. So be mindful of the fact that in a way, the people that are running are actually running, in a sense, to elevate the United States as a country up. They're trying to push the energy up so that there are new things incorporated within the system. But what Spirit is reminding you is that, you know what, it really, whoever ends up in the Oval Office, it's going to ultimately end up being a lot of compromise, because in some ways there are two very different outcomes. There are two very different ideas about what the country should look like and how it should move forward. And so ultimately it's going to end up being a compromise. And so they're asking you to just remember that, because at some point everybody has to come together around one. And if that doesn't happen, then the lesson, one of the karmic lessons that has been moved into place for the country as a whole to learn, will have not been accomplished, because the United States has a very definite vibration about this or that, rich or poor, my way, your way. And there is a need for this to come together. And when people come together to create a common goal, even if that common goal is not sort of set in concrete, it moves the evolution forward in a positive way. And so what we have witnessed is intense division and an understanding that the only way to move the country forward at this point is with unity. And so, they're asking you to be very mindful of that and remember that. Keep that sharp and clear in your mind, because the time for either or, thank goodness, is coming to an end. And amalgamations and compromises and listening to the other person is what is on your horizon, as long as the current challenge can be met. And should that challenge be met, you're going to see some really positive energy systems, ideas, protocols put in place to move it forward as a whole, as a unit, as a democratic unit. So be mindful of that, because there really is an amazing opportunity to elevate up or to basically stay kind of in the mess where it's in. And so is it about who wins the nomination? Well, of course it is, because then it's going to incorporate a very different sort of agenda, almost like right off the bat. But ultimately, what's going to really, really matter is that sense of unity, that sense of coming together and, recognizing when you need to just pull together for the greater good. All right. Things are going to continue to get bumpy. There's a lot of friction going on behind the scenes. There is a lot of missed communications, a lot of the right hand not only not having a clue, what the left hand is doing, but literally not even quite sure where the left hand is. Okay, so there's that kind of energy that is rolling around right now, and you're going to see that continue with mixed messages and information not getting out the way it should be, or it being unclear, not true, not the whole truth, missing important elements or points that you need to make in order to make the whole message make sense. So the time of turbulence continues, and I think that turbulence is going to continue to impact the stock market, although not as dramatically, perhaps, but definitely there's going to still be some volatility there. And the more volatile the stock market becomes, the more volatile your president becomes, because he hung his star on the economy. And anything that happens that makes him feel like that is not solid anymore is going to create that sort of panically lashing out, angry, response. So it's still unfolding. I mean, that's the message, right? It continues to unfold. And there continues to be a lot going on behind the scenes that really, really we don't know yet. Spirit also wants you to know that with work and with focus, you are going to become victorious as a country. And their message is interesting because they're not saying who or how you're going to be victorious, only that the greater number will propel the country forward. So again, going back to that unity message, right? When groups of like-minded people come together and they are all striving for a specific goal, which is going to be making someone president, right? The numbers matter, literally, is what they're saying. The more people that vote, the more people that are informed, the bigger is the win, and the more solid is the person going forward within the win. Now, I am pretty sure that the win is going to go to a Democrat. But what they're saying is nothing is set in concrete. Nothing is predetermined to that point. So there's still a great deal of work to be done. And the more optimistic and And the more you put worry away and you see the country moving into a calmer place and calmer waters where evenness and sort of level-headedness prevail, is going to really, really help. Should there be a new president in the Oval Office come January 2021, there's going to be a lot of stuff that is currently secret that is going to be made public. And that is a good thing, because there has been so much of this delusion and illusion and kind of whatever we say is the truth because we say it, but it has no actual basis in fact. So there's going to be stuff that comes out, and as a result, there's going to be stuff that gets sort of corrected or modified to ensure that this kind of instability doesn't happen again, because the United States, if nothing else, has learned a lesson about what happens when you behave as if tradition is law. And then along comes somebody who has no interest in tradition. And where we are now, where you as a country is, and frankly, where the world is a glaring example of what happens when such a person ends up in a position of power. And in the United States, and the way the United States is set up, you are really being shown the worst case scenario, right? Where you have a president and a Senate that are so tightly interwoven that they're enabling each other as opposed to standing separate, which is what they are supposed to be doing. So you're being shown this is what happens when it gets really bad, and this is what happens when people stop caring and stop being involved. And so if you want this to move forward, it needs to move forward with a sense of unity and purpose. And that unity comes from understanding that it is going to be a compromise situation no matter who wins the Democratic nomination. Yeah, there's going to continue to be more underhanded stuff going on. There's going to be more things that are being done in secret or kept secret, because the messaging is not something that the White House was pleased about. So things are going to continue to get buried. Be mindful of that. And always, always remember that what you're hearing and what you're seeing and what you're reading is only a portion of reality. But should there be enough unity? Should that democratic surge be strong enough? Should it come together to create the lovers, right? Should the two sides come together to be able to create one? There is going to be a tremendous amount of growth in a positive direction, and a tremendous amount of revisiting and getting laws in place, stabilizing things. And certainly it's going to be a huge job just to stabilize things in all of the agencies that have letters, FBI, CIA, DNI, DNS, whatever it is. You got my point, right? Because so much has been destructive and destroyed that now it's going to be a really big job to kind of get this stuff up and running again. And there needs to be a great deal of caution that power is not handed over where it should not be handed over. In fact, it needs to be reined back. So the United States is in for quite, I guess I want to say, the learning curve. But with the learning curve, you are able to remove those elements that have brought shadow and darkness. And you're going to be able to see a way clear where that element can leave. The element that has brought darkness is in a position to be removed if the unity is strong enough. And then will come the creation, if you will, or the opportunity for redemption, because you have the law and the rules and strong leadership bringing justice. So, to the White House. And again, there are going to be things that are not going to look the way any politician promised them, because ultimately that isn't going to work. You can't sort of cross your arms and say, if it's not my way, it's no way, because the gift comes from creating the unity, if you will. And you're going to have the tools in place, and you're going to have the kind of balance you're going to need, and you're going to have an understanding of all of the components and all of the elements that need to come forward to move the country forward in a healthy and light-filled way. So that strikes me as a fairly positive message from Spirit in what really feel like very, very turbulent times. And again, I was playing with my handy dandy pendulum a little bit earlier. I'm going to see if I can duplicate it, but sometimes trying to duplicate things, if you don't phrase it exactly the same way, you can get wonky answers. But so this was the question that I asked, and it was very interesting because, you see if I can remember it, because what I got was two different answers for basically the same question. So the first question was, is Donald Trump going to leave office before the actual election in November? And you can see that you're getting a no, and you're getting a rather clear and loud no, okay? Then I asked, is Trump going to be able to sustain the momentum that will allow him to actually run in the next election? And you get a no. Is Pence going to be vice president on the ticket with Donald Trump? And see, the thing goes still, which is telling us that there isn't sort of an answer kind of in place. Okay, so the point I'm making is that when it comes to the president, things still feel very, very unsettled. They feel very, very fluid. And I think part of what is fluid, so we'll just ask, is part of what is making the trajectory of Trump and the presidency and the White House so difficult, is that there are things going on with his health, either health crises or concerns that the public does not know about, that are being kept secret. And there you get that really, really strong yes. So there is some indicator that there are some health concerns that really could be impacting what happens going forward. And I'm just going to ask these three questions last, and hopefully we will get good news. On Inauguration Day, January 2021 in the United States, is there going to be a Democratic president? Okay, that's a yes. Is the House going to stay with a Democratic majority? And that's a yes. And is the Senate going to come back under Democratic leadership? And that is also a yes. So let's take the positive words from Spirit. Let's take the interesting answers from the pendulum and just hold those and hold the hope and the promise front and center. And remember, it's unity or bust, basically. Okay, until next time, take care, be well, and we'll see you really soon. Bye-bye.